Live and direct. It's Sway in the morning.
Right here on Shade 45.
Heather, we're going to take a trip
Oh, wow.
back down memory lane
I'll go with you, Sway.
when the youngest of three was sitting in the projects in Oakland,
Okay.
growing up in the 70s and 80s and watching programming that just helped me escape the noise of the police sirens and the gunshots
Right.
that were just lurking yards away from my apartment building,
What a tragedy.
and falling in love with a young girl by the name of Laura Ingalls. And she's here today. The one and only Melissa Gilbert is here at Shade 45. Wow. How are you?
I'm great.
This is so great. Every time I still watch Little House on the Prairie in syndication
That's amazing.
because it's just the way television was made back then, too, which you really had to use your imagination. You know, and the stories were the plots of the stories were so learnable and inspirational. And especially that show. I know you probably get asked these questions all the time, but whatever, Melissa, you're here, so I got to ask you.
Go for it.
All right. And one of my favorite episodes, I actually just saw it recently. Yeah, we're
You're
going
to
there.
episodes?
Yeah,
I
we're
am
going.
so
Yeah.
impressed.
Well. There was an episode. I think it was called Country Girls. Where that was the one where the girl had the limp.
The limp. Yeah, the pomade or the shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we used to have a guy at my elementary school who had a limp. And the way that you took in that girl, in the end, the way you took in that girl and stood behind that girl and defended that girl, enabled us, a lot of us who used to watch Little House on the Prairie, to not make fun of this guy who had one leg who was shorter than the other.
Come on.
So the point I'm making, even though this was set in a different time, at a different time period in our country's history, with people who didn't look nothing like the community I grew up in.
Right.
My only gripe was there wasn't enough black kids in it.
There were a few.
There were a few.
We had Todd Bridges came, and he was, and we had to do a scene. I'm totally digressing just for a 2nd. We'll go back to the story of the little girl with the shoe.
Go.
We had to do a scene. They wrote a scene in where I find him in a barn, and then I had to look at him and say, "You're a real Negro boy," and
Wow.
then they asked me to reach out and try and wipe it off of his face. And I looked at Michael Landon and I said, "I can't do that." He said, "Back then, she would have done that. She didn't know any different." So I was scared to death, but I did it. I reached out and I went,
You want to do that? You want to do that to me? Go ahead.
well,
You
no,
wanna
I
play-
know it ain't coming off.
You wanna play the Negro
Yeah,
boy,
just put me.
Sway?
I'm gonna be tired. You go ahead. Say
No,
you're a real Negro.
it made me uncomfortable then. Now it's even worse.
Oh,
Now, please.
gosh,
I
Sway.
just want to have this moment. Come on,
Melissa, you were his first girlfriend.
It
It doesn't come off.
And see, what it actually does is it stick to you and makes you want more. So,
Oh, gosh.
whatever. But, you know, that was
sorry,
interesting
Melissa.
It's great. No, I'm happy.
that was interesting, too, those dynamics you had to deal with. Michael Landon, first of all, was heaven sent. I used
Wasn't
to
he a great
love
guy?
that man.
He was very special. He
Yeah.
was a really extraordinary guy. He was just all about love. That's all it was for him, and it was about teaching the audience and showing the audience the things that were most important: family, community, the environment, helping one another, loving one another. That's what it was about for him, and that's what he was like. He was also wicked funny. Wicked funny. I learned some very inappropriate jokes at kind of maybe a little too young an age, and then when I got older, he taught them all to me.
Yeah.
And he was like a surrogate dad to me. Actually, my youngest son, who just started college, is named Michael.
But named after Michael?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you guys, because you became so popular on the show, obviously your character became the most popular, but there were a lot of kids on that set, the girl who played Nellie Olson, who really, in my opinion, before there was Mean Girls, the movie with Lindsay Lohan and all those girls, it was Nellie Olson. She triggered that whole Mean Girls thing,
Well,
right?
She probably did. Yeah,
Yeah.
she probably did. I mean, before her, there was only The Bad Seed and, The Omen.
Yeah. Damien.
Damien was pretty much it.
Was there any, was it competitive? Did they have to kind of do orientation for the other kids because you became such a star, or was it?
Well, gosh, I wish we had the sense to do stuff like that back then. It probably would have saved some of their, there are a couple people that had a little bit of issues with stuff. But Nellie, Allison, who played Nellie, is still one of my closest friends to this day. And she and I were friends back then, and we had sleepovers together and hung out together and birthday parties together for years and years and years. So there was never anything weird between us.
Okay, because I have you here, I'm focused on this, but I'm not going to stay on this because that happened years ago in your life. What advice? I mean, at some point you had to grow up from a childhood star and become an adult. A star as an adult.
Yeah.
Instead of an adult star. That might have sounded
Yeah,
like
that's
you
not
wanted
good.
to,
Yeah,
sound like
and
you
I
wanted
just
to
watched
porn.
Lovelace last night. No, we're not going there.
I like that movie. I actually watched that too. It was about the porn industry, right?
Yeah.
And I watched porn. I'm joking, Melissa. I'm sorry I'm saying these things.
Oh my
All
God!
right. But no, we had Alyssa Milano here, and we were talking about Miley Cyrus, who started off on this. All right, and but before them, there was you. How did you? Was it hard for you to make that transition for people to stop seeing you as this childhood star and becoming see you as an adult? And what did you do?
Well, here's the thing. There's a couple things. First of all, I was lucky enough that I never stopped working, so I didn't have to come back and start over and reinvent myself. I'm kind of doing that now because I've taken a couple of years off, sort of, and been focusing on my family and my books and trying to get the last kid out of the house so I can breathe. So that was helpful. I didn't have to, I didn't become unfamous and have to climb back up to the top again.
Yeah.
I had a lot of counseling, a lot of people watching out for me, like Michael Landon, to make sure that I, wouldn't make any mistakes and would kind of follow the right path. And then when I got old enough to start going out and, running around and doing things that I shouldn't necessarily be doing, I was doing it at a different time. Everybody didn't have a camera in the bathroom at the club.
Yeah.
And so, there wasn't a lot of, friends didn't become paparazzi. It wasn't an issue. We still were slightly protected. So I did make mistakes and eventually wrote them about them in an autobiography I wrote years ago. And made some pretty dumb moves and tried some things.
Like what? Like what?
Oh gosh.
No, I'm just so curious about you. Like
I don't know, hanging out with Steve Rubell at Studio 54 till 3-4 in the morning and writing back, and I just dumb, kind of silly things. You think you're invincible when you're young. That you can do anything when you're young. That you can put anything in your body and you're going to live through it. And for a while you do, and then you get older, and then it starts to hurt.
I got to read this autobiography. Did you talk about your relationships and love?
And love and growing up and finding my way and going through stuff and getting sober and lots of stuff. And
sober?
Yeah.
Well, Laura Ingalls was drinking, or were you smoking?
She was drinking. No, drinking.
You didn't shoot nothing up or nothing like that?
No, I never
you didn't
got
pop
quite
no Molly
that bad.
or no? Okay,
No. But I did do some other things.
Okay.
And did a lot of drinking later in life, and it was really just to to shut my head off and numb out, and I was not in a happy place.
Yeah.
And then I found a happier place, and it got better. Now my life is just ridiculously happy.
Good. That's great. You dated some interesting guys. I met Tom Cruise before. You dated Tom?
I was like 16 years old. He wasn't Cruise then. He was Tom Mapother. He just moved to L.A. I bought him his first set of dishes.
You bought Tom?
Well, I was working. He didn't have a job, and he was eating on paper plates, so I bought him dishes.
Nice guy.
Sweet.
Real sweet guy.
He was. It got, it got a little weird with the side tie stuff.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. You could say that because you're Melissa Gilbert. Anybody else would have been scared to say that.
I'm not scared of no side ties.
Okay, good for you. Laura Ingalls is a
That sound
thug.
gangster. Yeah, I ain't scared of no side ties.
You know what? I live in Michigan now. I'm not scared of anything.
Right? Yeah, you in Michigan. I'm sure you got a gun.
I don't. But you know what? I kicked some polar vortexes butt this winter.
Polar vortexes. I like that. Let's talk about this book because there's a dog that is just happy at home in our studio
couch over there.
named Josephine. And that's your dog. That's your pet, right?
That is my dog, Josephine. She's a princess and a fashionista.
And a fashionista she has. You got to get a picture of that. I will definitely Instagram Josephine.
Her nails are polished.
I saw that. And she has a cute little ballerina dress on, right?
Tutu?
Yeah, she's wearing, she's a little more Carrie Bradshaw than ballerina.
Okay.
She's wearing a faux fur vest, a black and aqua tutu, and if you look very closely, that is an authentic Louis Vuitton collar.
Wow, it is.
Yeah.
Damn, she's stunting on these rappers.
So it's crazy.
Your book is called Daisy and Josephine, and it's a children's book. And Josephine is pretty much a friend to Daisy, who finds herself alone at times?
She does. Daisy only has a daddy, and her daddy is a very famous entertainer who travels all around the world. And Daisy also has a teacher who goes on the road with her, but Daisy doesn't have a sister or a brother or a mommy. And she doesn't really have a lot of friends because she's kind of awkward. So one day, Daddy brings home this little puppy, thinking, Daisy will have this puppy to hang out with, and he closes the door, and the puppy stands up and starts walking around and speaking in French words and asking about clothes and getting dressed up. She doesn't want to play ball. She doesn't want to play with, sticks and stuff. She just wants to get dressed up in some fashionable clothes. And poor Daisy, I mean, if you look at the cover, you see she's wearing stripes and polka dots, and she's got one sock that falls down. So Josephine not only helps her come out of her shell by dressing her up and stuff, in the end, she gets her to feel brave enough to actually even sing. Daisy sings Josephine to sleep at the end of the
Really?
book.
And if is Daisy an only child?
She is an only child.
Were you initially an only child?
I was a firstborn.
Firstborn?
I was the queen of the household until the two interlopers came in. My
And
brother and my sister.
The interlopers, that's what you call them. The intruders infiltrated the set. But your parents were all, they both were entertainment, right?
This is my daddy in this
Okay,
book. My
that's your
daddy
dad,
was
right?
a singer and a dancer and a stand-up comic and an entertainer, and he played French horn and traveled all around the world. He did a bunch of movies. He had television series. He was an amazing man, and I lost him when I was very young. I lost him when I was 11.
Sorry to hear that.
Thanks.
This book could be helpful for a lot of only children or children who are slightly awkward right?
Or any child. I mean, really, family has all been redefined now.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean mom, dad, brother, sister.
Yeah.
It means, it can mean anything. It can mean a foster family. It could mean two mommies. It could mean one mommy, two daddies. It's not about what the family looks like. It's about where the love is. And so that's what this book embraces.
People could pick this book up now. They could go to, how can they pick it up?
They can find it on Amazon. They can find it in bookstores. Barnes & Noble is carrying it. If you're in the New York area, I would suggest Amazon because you're not supposed to be going outside right now. It's a little cold.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It's nippy.
It's nippy.
Yeah. All right.
It's nippy.
Melissa Gilbert, if you're ever back, you live on the West Coast? Or
Michigan.
You live
I live in
You're still in Michigan?
I just moved there.
Hence the reason why she could wear a dress with our skin out in this cold weather is nothing to you, right?
I don't know what y'all are whining about. This is like summer for me.
This is nothing. There it is. Melissa Gilbert, when you're in New York, promise you'll come back and
I
visit us.
swear I will. I would love to. I will be back in the fall with another book, all
Come
about
back.
Little House on the Prairie. So
Really?
it's a cookbook
Okay,
too.
then I'm showing off.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask you a lot of questions when you come
know
back.
what? You quiz me. See how much I know.
I will do that, okay?
All righty.
All right, Melissa Gilbert, ladies and
Nice.
gentlemen. We're going
You're listening to Sway in the morning
on Shea 45.